Welcome to In Out Delete, the show where you both new and older movies. This is Gino.
This is Roberto.
This is Ricardo.
America.
And Gio.
And we're all lagging together again. back at it again with the show. How you guys been doing? What's been new? What you guys watched?
I started rewatching some shows. Started rewatching Breaking Bad with this guy, Mad Men.
Oh.
What else?
Where you at on Breaking Bad?
Oh yeah, give us your little,
weekly recap. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, season 2's here.
Wow.
Oh, what happened to your head, Gino?
It disappeared.
Yeah.
So what about you guys? What have you been watching?
Oh man, it's happened, guys. This quarantine has gone on for so long.
Oh my god.
I've resorted to reality television.
Oh.
I've watched four seasons
Dang.
of Hell's Kitchen.
Okay. All right. That's a good one. I'll give you that one.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Dude,
I
4
can't.
seasons.
4 fucking seasons since the last time we
that is
talked.
a lot.
It's so bad, dude. When
That
when I remembered that I had to watch this fucking movie for this, I was like, I don't want to stop watching Hell's. I had to it was such a chore to watch a film instead of watching Hell's Kitchen. I want to see who gets kicked off or how dinner goes tonight, you know? Yeah, that's in my week, guys. Like I've gone down the rabbit hole and I'm not coming out. Anyways, what Gino, what do you watch?
Robert, I'm gonna make you proud or probably disappointed at the same time. I finally got to watch part 2 of Friday the 13th.
Oh.
God, man, I loved it. I actually
You
loved
did?
the second one too. Yeah, I actually loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it just because it's super cheesy deaths, of course. But there's some moments I did go, oh, I like how no one noticed that at all or noticed this. But it's I actually enjoyed it. I mean, I wish they stopped at that, but whatever. You know how it is. You know,
That's the first one with Jason.
Yeah.
Yeah. When he had the bag over his head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, where'd you watch it?
On Amazon Prime.
Amazon Prime.
Now you gotta watch 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Oh, I try to watch 3 already.
I actually like 3. 3 and 4 are actually pretty good.
Let me okay.
Yeah.
Let me explain. I started watching 3, but I know it's for 3D because a lot of images are in my face, and it's not the same when I don't have the glasses. Because now I want to know how it looks onto my face. Not just like a baseball bat that's doing this. I want that baseball right here too, motherfucker. Not just like this. Like, what's up? What about you, Gio? What did you watch?
So Monday was Star Wars Day, so I watched a little bit of Star Wars. Watched the end of Return of the Jedi and Force Awakens and some of Empire. Let's see, what else did I watch? I didn't think I watched too much this week. Oh, a little bit of Beetlejuice today. It was on TV, so I watched a little bit of that.
Do you ever just finish anything? It seems like every week it's just like, oh, I watched a fucking commercial, a dog food commercial, and shit. Like,
also watched parts of Constantine. No, because like
change the channel and actually see things.
Yeah, he's like fucking Ham in Toy Story, just like,
yeah.
Oh yeah, watch that. Yeah.
Anyway, should we get into the movie?
Let's do it.
Yes, The Changeling, recommended by who again?
Ricardo. I have it right here.
Ricardo on Instagram.
Ricardo S112 on Instagram.
Yes.
His pick was The Changeling, starring George C. Scott, the great George C. Scott, and directed by Peter Can't read my own writing. Maddock. Whatever the fuck his name is. Anyways, it's about George C. Scott. He plays a father who recently lost his daughter and his wife in a terrible accident, right? Mm-hmm. And he moves into a house that's haunted by the ghost of a child. Who wants to go first? Let's dive in.
I was hooked on the straight from the opening of the movie. It was so sudden, so quick. I was just like that's a good introduction to start the movie. Because I thought they were on their way to the house, like it was The Shining, but then tragic happened, and then sure enough, he moves into Seattle, moves into his nice house, and also the house started doing crazy shit. And so I'm in. I have to say I'm in.
Cool.
Because I was really hooked on it. We'll talk more about it, but yeah, I really enjoyed it for what it is. I had maybe a little bit of flaws, but not too much in my end.
Yeah. All right. I'm also in. But I don't think I was in as soon as you were. I liked the beginning. I thought it was going somewhere interesting. I was like, okay, what's gonna happen? Like, I thought he was gonna spiral a lot quicker. So like after like his family dies, I kind of like dropped off for like 20 minutes, and I kind of wasn't that interested. But then like when all that stuff starts happening after the seance, I was like super in. Like it got like super spooky. I was like scared. I love all the old school like zoomy things. Obviously it's an old movie, but I don't know, I just loved it all. So yeah, I'm in.
Oh yeah, the movie's cool here or there, you know. It has like those little scenes that were actually that has like cool scares, you know, like that whole what do you call it? Like I don't know what you call that, the voodoo shit or what is
The
it?
The
seance?
seance?
Seance? Yeah, that little
Yeah.
scenes like that are pretty cool and the way they did it. But honestly, the story was fucking pretty whack. The story was pretty whack, and the like point of it was all kind of mixed around. Like I don't know what the fuck really was going on, and there's a bunch of movies you could rather watch than this, to be honest. You know.
So are you deleting?
I'm not deleting, but if you want to, like, fine, you go. You could watch it once, whatever. But I think I'm an out. Just an out. Yeah. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I'll go next. I think I'm in the same exact boat as America. I am in, but I was really pumped to watch this movie because when I saw the recommendation, I had been meaning to watch this. It's always been on my list. Obviously, I love 80s horror movies and stuff, but for some reason never have. So yeah, I love the first like 20 25 minutes, you know. I was like, yeah, we're in for a fucking ride. And I love haunted house movies, you know, like The Haunting and, you know, fucking like The Conjuring, stuff like that. I love all the tropes, you know, the squeaky doors and all the cracking of the floors. But I will say it feels like it got lost in the middle there. I was like, what is this movie about? You know, because it starts off kind of like as a character study of the guy, you know, and then it's like a mystery. I was like,
yeah,
but it wasn't like I wasn't as interested in that plot line, you know. But I think that's the atmosphere and the scary scenes. Like I was spooked out, dude. Like I was watching it by myself, and I was like, you know, like so, like not as high as an in I was expecting, even close to an out sometimes, but overall in. Yeah, Gio.
I'm same boat as Ricardo. It's watchable, but it takes forever for anything to happen. Like the whole and I think America like said, like the whole beginning of, you know, everything, the tragedy that happens, and then it just dies down. It's just him going to Seattle. Then he starts moving. It just nothing for a long time, and then it starts happening towards the end. But even then, like the payoff isn't that great. Like it's very, yeah, I don't know. It's not well polished, I guess, like story wise.
Yeah.
And so I'm an out. It's watchable, but yeah.
Yeah.
Probably just watch it the once and that's it.
Yeah, I think, are we all in agreement that it is kind of messy? Because that was your point, Ricardo.
Yeah.
And then,
I think we all see it the same. It's just whether you fall into in or out. Yeah.
It does kind of put itself in that place of the character study of this guy who's just lost his family, right? So you really think you're gonna go into his head.
Yeah.
But then you know, one spooky thing. What's the first thing that happens to him? Like he hears something. Or
He
something.
hears the bangs.
And, and he's
thumping.
just like, oh, okay. You know, like he's just very accepting of everything.
Yeah.
And it's like, where's he gonna go with? Like, is he gonna befriend the ghost? Like,
yeah. He sees the fucking kid in the fucking bathtub, dude. At that moment, like, although that was a scary scene, I was like, dude, I'm out the door and going to Motel 6. Like, I don't give a fuck, dude. Like, what the? And that's a trope in every fucking haunted house movie. Just leave the fucking house, you know. But like,
When you know what I was thinking? Scary Movie 2, the he sees it and I'll be like, fuck this.
Yeah, dude. And that too, I was like, okay, like we just saw the first scary thing, like it's gonna pick up, like this is where like it's real, like I'm really gonna like be looking from behind the covers, like and no, that's it. He leaves it and then he goes and he tells somebody, and the first thing he does, he doesn't go and tell his friend, like, oh my god, I got so scared. He doesn't go to a therapist, he goes to a historical society and he tells what happened in this house, Which,
Yeah.
okay, sure, like maybe you do that, but is that the first place you're gonna go? Like,
Well, they
you
have the history of the house. That's why
Yeah,
he
but
went there.
they know that someone knows about the house because he got that house from a friend or something,
Yeah.
right? So why didn't he even go to them and be like, "Hey, what's going on? Like, have you guys seen anything? Have you guys heard anything?"
Well, the lady that worked at the historical society is the one that got him the house.
Yeah.
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 Looks like a
So-
fucking
What, the piranha?
piranha.
No, that wasn't her.
But even that, like, even that was kind of messy because, like, it kind of set you up to where, like, she was like kind of
In
like
on
she
it.
knew in on it, and she was like, "Here's this house." You know, and like I was like, "Ooh, that they're obviously setting her up to be the villain," you know. But then
Yeah.
it just doesn't go anywhere with that, and the villain ends up being this. And I knew I was like, obviously that guy's gonna be involved, you know.
Oh.
But he shows up for one scene, the politician or whatever, and then
Senator?
it just disappears. And all of a sudden, when it becomes part of the mystery, I was like, well, we don't know anything about that guy, really, you know? So you don't have as much. You have an emotional connection to George C. Scott's character, but not to the other things. So it makes you care less about the mystery. And that's why, like, when it was first starting, I was like, I love, like, slow burn movies, like The Shining, right? The Shining is a slow burn that's fucking amazing because you go into his head, you know? And I was like, yes, this is going to be that. Give me the slow burn. I don't need, like, a jump scare every 2 seconds, but because it doesn't dive into, like, his psychology, like, that's what kind of bores you a little bit in a way.
And the thing that got me off guard too is when he goes talks to the historic chick lady about the house, and then like the secretary comes out of nowhere. The house doesn't want you in that house.
Yeah.
And, I'm like, and then she leaves, and it's like the guy's like, oh, "Okay," finishes his cigarette, throws it in the ground. And I'm kind of like, I would be asking more questions since she seems to know more about the house since shit starts happening, you know.
Yeah.
And you would think like, hey, why would that person want me in the house for a reason? And I would want to know more than just go, meh, I'll just see what happens then.
Yeah, especially since he's not scared and like his whole mission for whatever reason becomes to find out what's going on. Like he has no connection to this. Not at that point.
Yeah.
Right?
The only thing you could kind of say is that his fatherly instinct is kicking in, maybe. That's it, but it's very thin, you know, like it's everything's very casual, like Gino said, like, oh, this fucking house is haunted. All right, I'm gonna order pizza, you know? It's like, and that's
gonna play the piano.
Like, it kind of deflates the scariness of it all. Like I love like you said, the seance scene. That scene was fucking brilliant. And you know, you've seen it done in a lot of movies like Insidious and the others and stuff like that. But like to see it done like in 1980 in this movie, I was like, wow, like this is fucking awesome, you know?
Yeah.
But it's just like, because it doesn't, and I kind of give regret it. It's not like a full on like horror movie where it's just like cliche after cliche, but it's just, it's a little thin on story, you know?
That's the part.
It dipped into too many genres that it just didn't pull off anything, because it was like either a mystery movie or a horror movie. Like, what is this?
Gino brought up Friday the 13th, right? That the original one is also from 1980. In the 80s, you know, we're so used to like fucking thousands of horror movies with they're just killing slasher movies, just killing teenagers, right? And it's all schlock. And don't get me wrong, I love the schlock, but it's so refreshing to see like an actual movie, you know? It's not playing to satisfy like mass audience, you know? It's actually trying to be a film, you know, rather than being like a genre, you know? And that's why it feels like that. So to me, that's what was refreshing about it. The fact that it wasn't like a by the numbers horror movie, you know?
Yeah.
So that's what I did enjoy about that.
Yeah.
The whole core of this movie on the dude killed his kid, replaced the kid, and nobody knew about it. Like, that was kind of a little bit far-fetched, but I guess because of the time period, it's possible.
Who would remember him how he looks like as he was 6-year-old, now he's 18? Nobody.
Yeah. There wasn't
So
social media, There wasn't. He didn't have pictures all over Facebook and stuff like that.
It's not like he was updating his face in the newspaper and sending it to fucking Seattle.
Shit, man, they did it to Angelina Jolie, man. They could do it to this guy too.
World War I lasted 4 years.
I don't see it very far-fetched. Like,
you know what I mean?
I actually really like that storyline, and I wish that they had focused on that. I think that would have been a lot more interesting to see than this guy trying to figure out that that's how they killed him or whatever.
Yeah.
I think that would have been a good movie. But also how they made the senator guy, that politician, how they made him the kid, like And then at the end, how it goes back and forth from him in his office and everything's
Yeah.
shaking.
Yeah.
And then he's going up the stairs, which I also really liked when he's going up the stairs. But like, what is that? Where was he actually?
I think he was in that house on his desk. I think I'm assuming his soul went to the house. That's
His
what I took it.
consciousness.
Yeah, that's what I
Well,
saw too.
I'm assuming that also kind of the same way he saw the whole murder thing happen, because he says that he saw it.
Yeah, he did.
So like he
Yeah.
kind of went there in his mind or whatever, and saw how the kid was being drowned in the little bathtub.
there's moments that I felt like I've seen this before, and I was like, why have I felt like I've seen this before? And it's kind of like The Ring, if you guys remember that. The whole aspect of investigating why is this ghost girl trying to kill me in 7 days, and she goes through all these obstacles of like investigating, like he did. Like he went to the other house where the woman had her daughter, where her daughter was having visions of the boy, which happens to be the house with the well. Yeah. So it's like, the boy was buried in the well, or was he dumped in the well, whatever.
Yeah, I think his body was dumped in there.
Yeah.
And so in The Ring, the girl was dumped in the well.
Yeah. You're right. Yeah.
And this movie, I read it, like this movie is amongst like horror fans, it's very influential, and it's very like, you could tell it's influenced so much. Like I mentioned earlier, like Insidious has almost like shot for shot the same scene, right? The others has like shot for shot the same scene. So this movie has, it feels like we've seen a lot of it because it's influenced so much, but we haven't seen where that came from, So that's why we feel like, oh, it's been done before because I've seen it so many times. Well,
and I have to admit, the shots or the POV shots they did, the panning and like all handheld basically, were really good to me. I really, really enjoyed those shots.
Yeah,
beautifully shot. Yeah, I love the night scenes in the house, like the scary scenes. Like they did scare me, honestly. I was really scared.
I don't really get scared, but I noticed when it started getting scary, I started feeling the vibe here. Of the
the vibe goes like this.
I thought you were gonna say I grabbed her like hold me.
I only have to do like a sound, and then she fucking freaks
She's
out.
all jumpy.
In that movie, when they're listening to the tape and he's hearing the
Oh
sound,
yeah.
The
he's still
EVP.
not scared, dude.
And he just keeps going
like you're alone in this big ass house and you're still
Like,
not scared.
Fuck that fucking shit, dude. I'd be out of there, dude.
Yeah.
I'd be like,
You're
why
like,
is
I
it
burned down the house?
when the mother, like fucking guys, like the girls, the lady, whatever, is giving them the tour? Like, why hasn't anybody live here? Because it's fucking haunted, dude. I'm not gonna live there. What the fuck, man?
He's not scared, or
Yeah.
So am I supposed to be
They
scared?
just gloss over it. Yeah, it's like, oh, it's haunted. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's a normal thing.
Remember, he shows the tape to the other lady, and then she's like freaking out. And he's like, "Yeah, they're fucking with me."
Yeah. Instead of saying like, "There's a fucking demon in here," he's like, "I must investigate. There's a mystery to be solved." Like, who are you, fucking Scooby Doo? Shit! Like, get the fuck out of there!
Gino disappeared. Joseph is with you, Gino.
I think we're just kind of like, we're too we're programmed to expect like certain formulas from movies, right?
I guess.
And I can't fault it too much for that. We're expecting a movie to hit these plot points at this time. Have a scare here, have a scare there.
Yeah.
So,
But didn't it come out the same year as The Shining?
yeah, it did. I was gonna mention that. Yeah.
Oh, it
Yeah.
did.
Yeah, 1980,
Wow, dude, what a difference.
and the same year as, like I said, Friday the 13th.
Oh yeah.
It's right between both of them? Or what?
three classic horror movies in 1 year. The 80s were just great. Let me plug this. I recently, like, the reason why I was so pumped to watch this, because I watched this documentary called In Search of Darkness.
I was gonna ask you that.
Yeah, it's a documentary. It's a 4-hour documentary on horror movies in the 80s. And it basically talks about every horror movie in the 80s. And this was one of the ones they talk about. And that's why I was like so intrigued to watch it. But I recommend watching that. For our next user pick, this pick comes from Ernesto Moreno. He's been on this show a few times before.
But his little tag
But his name right here. And he recommended this movie on Twitter. And next week we'll be watching Johnny Mnemonic with the great Keanu Reeves. Might have a good time with that. We might not. We'll see. I know America ain't.
So is this like a karate movie or something?
Oh no, it's a futuristic cyberpunk
yeah.
type movie.
Oh
Yeah.
Jesus. Okay.
Yeah. Anyways, that's next week.
Please don't forget to follow us on Instagram, In Out Delete Reviews, one word, and at Twitter at In Out Delete. And so tell us more. Let us know what you recommend for next week's also. So please let us know.
Also, even though this probably coming out after, but happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there.
Happy Mother's Day.
And
Right.
this past week was also Nurses Appreciation Week, and so thanks to all the nurses out there. I know 2 nurses personally, and thank you for, and I know all the stuff that they're going through. So
Yay,
thanks to
nurses
all the
and
nurses out there.
Yep.
Yeah.
I salute to them all and the mothers and the nurses.